All right. So we made it, and it is time. Probably of all the ISCs this year, this is my most anticipated. Inside Star Citizen, Alpha 4.0, engineering. No waiting. Let's go.
Engineering. The next major step forward in multi-crew gameplay.
Close the door.
Built on top of the in-development resource networking system. Itself a harbinger of fire and a new reality for all life aboard spacecraft. It's been the subject of CitizenCon presentations, Q&As on Star Citizen Live, explorations on Inside Star Citizen, and fervent discussion by many of the content creators in our community. And on this final episode of ISC before hiatus and we turn all of our attentions towards CitizenCon, we invited Torsten, Bastian, and Guillermo to update us once again on the current intention and implementation of engineering. And
all right, and the reason it's so anticipated, and I didn't catch it initially, I caught it when I was talking to somebody later. MFDs are in 324.2. The power management MFDs are in 324.2. What else is in 324.2? New power management of our ships. Probably, right?
And what you can expect when the first iteration makes its way into the persistent universe.
I assume that's what they're going to focus on here.
The resource network enables us to actually give you the gameplay that you were always looking for, which is having meaningful multi-crew gameplay, which means that it really makes sense to have multiple people running around on your ship, and that wouldn't be possible without the resource network.
Now this is Alpha 4.0 engineering.
So we say the resource network.
So they're setting the expectations for us here. This shit, not in 324.2. I keep saying 323.
It's a system that allows all the items and components that are part of the ship to talk to each other.
Every ground vehicle, every base, everything that runs in Star Citizen with resources.
Those are fake
Fundamentally, the
screens.
resource network is a replacement for the pipe system we had in the past that you may have heard about.
Which was a similar system, basically doing most of what we're doing right now with the resource network, but in a way that was not as scalable as what we intend to do.
Landing complete.
So right now we just have one type of hydrogen fuel, but if we want to extend that in the future to having like multiple types that have some specific benefits on the thrusters, it's very easy now to add that resource. It's just a data setup.
All right, we have heard developers say that a million times. Again, thank you, Chris Roberts, for ruining my life at CitizenCon. Not ruining my life, it's obviously a joke, but I don't believe it. Even anything Torsten says now. Torsten is the dev I trust more than any developer at this company to deliver on what he says he's going to do. But just outside circumstances can get in the way, and the outside could be literally the one guy that's being spammed by the same guy in chat over and over again. Keep doing that, you're probably going to get timed out, just so you know. But it's exciting, but part.
So resource network is the underlying technology for the...
Oh, actually why I paused. I reacted on this channel a couple days ago to Havoc's video talking about the fuel. Right? And how, like, no, they're probably not going to do different fuels. Then chat pointed out that they are going to do different fuels, and yeah. Or that they had talked about it in their, like, engineering post from many, many years ago. But it sounds like it is way more possible. Premium fuel, $40. I mean, that's probably what they'll do. That's what I mean by let's not... Torsten may have good video game ideas, but marketing may have something in their sleeve to find a way to ruin it like they always do.
And engineering is the gameplay we intend to have on top of this technology so that players may experience it.
Your ship flies because, the thrusters get fuel, the power plants output power that the weapons and the sails and also the thrusters use. Engineering is all about both maximizing the use you get out of the resource network and also getting the resource network itself going so that you're not dead in the water.
It's all things that players will be able to interact with.
Do we have that paint in game already? Yeah? Is this just the pirate paint? Old pirate paint, gotcha.
It's all things that players will be able to interact with. They will have to dedicate roles in their ships so that crew members are assigned to fixing those issues.
I like it.
And they can encounter more dynamic situations that will not happen in the previous systems.
The goal right now is to have all the components on the ship being physicalized. That means that the things that will take damage will be the components.
On
that
all
then
ships?
means that those components are the reasons to the failure of your ship.
We have the power plants, which generate the energy that your ship consumes. You have the shield generators, which take in some of that energy to convert it to shield power.
Okay.
You have a radar system that allows you to target the signatures of ships around you. You have coolers that generate a coolant resource.
I mean,
It is.
it sounds like they're doing it. Like, maybe in a very basic way, but coolers have always been, like, faked. Power has always been faked and all these things. And now it's, you know, real things that are going through the ships or... Yeah, like, I think what Torsten said is probably the best is the idea of the components being the reason for the failure of your ship.
All the weapons that you have, it's the quantum drive, but there are also new components that will be added to the
New.
mix, and that is the relay with its fuses.
All right, we know
Then
that.
there's the live support generator.
Sounds like they're going to talk
The
about
biggest
it.
thing we are aiming for is switching from your health pool of
They
the
didn't.
bespoke ship to just moving that completely over to the physicalized component. So damaging the component is damaging your ship.
Attack on shield.
I think this is the part where the biggest change for the players happen, because there the gameplay of repair comes in, and then you can revitalize your ship.
Systems activated.
Yeah,
So you-
and I want everybody to really take this in, because a lot of people hate the idea of engineering. This is tedious. This is too much. How many times is my ship going to catch on fire, and so on and so forth. Think about it this way. At least this is how I'm thinking about it. So before you hate it, before you like boo it, you are going to fly, hopefully, for many days, weeks, maybe months, the same ship. The same ship. That ship is now your ship. And I don't know how much that means to everybody. It may not mean anything to anybody, but for some reason, that means a lot to me, right? Like the claim button is something that you use all the time in Star Citizen. They got to kind of get away from that, right? But for me personally, I like the idea of my mole is the mole that I see all the time. I'll point to, I don't know where I saw it. I saw it somewhere, but Zach from the like weapon and AI team, like piggybacked on this. Somebody posted like, I think it was on Reddit or something. They left a prospector or it was an M50 inside a hangar for a while, and it was in their hangar, right? So they never used it, and it got, it was like 5 or 6 days, an M50, and it got super dirty, and it was like, we never got to see that system ever because we're always claiming, constantly repairing all the time because things are always breaking, right? So now, if you're going internally and fixing your components and, you know, you can go on the outside and fix your hull, you're kind of using the same ship all the time. It really just depends on what they do with the current repair system. The current repair system is I go everywhere, I land on a pad, and if it doesn't bug out, which is, if it doesn't bug out, it just works, and it works really well, and it does everything, right? So I'm really interested to see how this plays. Yeah, Zach knows about dirt and wear stuff on weapons, so thanks for pointing that out as well. Zach's here in the chat, but I'm pretty excited for it. There's a new UI for battery at 328. Okay.
Generate a coolant resource.
The fuck are you talking about?
Your formerly dead in the water ship after exchanging or repairing the components.
Bottom right? Did I miss it? Oh, okay. I'm thinking you're talking about engineering stuff. It's on the multi-tool. Yeah, we got battery on the multi-tool, a new UI on the multi-tool. Gotcha. I'm looking for a screen engineering. I'm looking at the map on the top right. I was looking everywhere but where I was supposed to. Okay, let's go back. That's cool too.
Your formerly dead in the water ship after exchanging or repairing the components. So we mentioned one of the new components, which is the life support generator. So let's talk about.
All right, here we go. Let's talk about that.
The life support does all the tasks necessary to maintain the life support inside the ship.
So it's the temperature,
That has never happened before, right? I'm going to replay that. They kept it pretty quiet. The door opened and the temperature changed inside your ship.
About life support.
Am I in the way? Yeah, let me move myself top right for you here.
The life support does all the tasks necessary to maintain the life support inside the ship.
Like the characters in the ship there, right?
It's the temperature, it's the atmosphere composition, it's the pressure inside the room. Your main responsibility is making sure that there's always enough life support resource produced to maintain a healthy atmosphere in the ship. So making sure that all the CO2 that you breathe out is actually converted into O2 again. Or if you vented a room, that the room is filled again. If your room is getting too hot, it's cooled down again. So it's all about managing this resource inside the rooms.
This is the one that I worry about being tedious. Of all the stuff, the room system is the one that I'm the most skeptical of. Like, is this going to be fun? Or is this just going to be a pain in the ass?
And as already mentioned in the previous episodes, it's life support management is also a good way to counter fire. Another aspect the players have to counter or react to is misfires on components.
Misfires. Let's hear more about misfires.
Misfires are something that is already in the game in some form. Thruster charges, seal generator failure, stuff like that. We're just expanding it a bit. And pretty much the idea is that, items that are damaged, that are too hot, or that, for example, are very old and degraded, will start misfiring.
Too hot a lot.
In some cases, that will be that it will take some extra damage. In other cases, it will be that they will stop working for a while. Other times, they will work indefinitely until an engineer comes by and manages to do some repairs. And some of the worst cases would be starting a fire, or in the case of, for example, power plants, engaging in a critical reactor failure and taking the ship with them.
Yeah, and listen to the way he's speaking as well. In the worst cases, it will start a fire. So, like, for all the people that are like, oh, fire's going to happen all the time, it doesn't sound like it from what they're saying.
That if the power plant reaches 0 health, it will run into a critical failure, and that critical failure then will cause the entire ship to explode. It will give the player the time frame to react to that. So either by removing the component and throwing it out of the door and preventing your ship to explode, or even...
Okay. So we're going to listen to that again, so this really hammers home for everybody, because I think everybody is, their gears are probably turning, that we're going to be blowing up. All I got to do is target the power plant, and I can still blow up the ship. It doesn't sound like that to me.
Failure, and that critical failure...
I got to go back just a tiny bit more.
Failure and taking the ship with them.
There is a chance that if the power plant reaches 0 health, it will...
There's a chance that if the power plant reaches 0 health first,
run into a critical failure.
It will run into a critical failure.
And
second.
And that critical failure then will cause the entire ship to explode. It will give the player the time frame to react to that.
So the critical failure would be like, beep-woo, beep-woo, beep-woo. Hello, critical power plant failure over here. Hello, hello, do something about me or I'm going to blow up. Instead of the moment your power plant hits 0, you blow up.
So either by removing the
Essentially, we'll just hear the hanger sounds when our that's the most mind-boggling sound that we have in the game. So
component
just turn on the hanger sounds every time our power plant's messed up, and then you pull it out, replace it, all that stuff. Now, I gotta say, what do we do in size 3 ships, Mr. Torsten? What are we doing in size 3 ships? What do we do in a hull C? What do we do in a C2? Because we can't remove those components. We can't do anything because we at CIG didn't think before we made our
and
ships.
throwing it out of the door and preventing your ship to explode, or even countering it by repairing the component and bringing it up to life again. For the initial release, we have a limited amount of misfires, but we are preparing the system, or we did prepare the system to scale well.
Here, have your answer. He just put equal sign. You can repair them. Okay. Will the size 3 give us more time? And obviously, this is no shot at Torsten. This is a 10 years before Torsten got there problem. Ships before everything. Design the ships before we design the game. That's got nothing to do with him. Will there be a difference in time for size 3 ships? First, the ship's larger. You got to run there faster. The timer is item dependent. Okay, so size 3, theoretically, the time can be adjusted. You don't need to give any specifics. Good, good. Okay, cool.
For the future, so we can introduce multiple
I am calm,
misfires,
then.
and
I
that
am
leads
calm.
us to damage penetration.
So damage penetration.
All right, damage penetration's in the engineering test now, which I haven't done in forever and really should go back to doing soon. But once we kind of knew some of the stuff was coming online, I was really excited for that. And I kind of was like, all right, I'll wait till more stuff happens. And more stuff is happening in 4.0, I guess. But this is the one I'm going to be listening to the closest because component damage will cause the ship to fail, explode, a couple of options, right? What happens to hull health as we know it, right? That's the real question here. Hull health. What does it even mean anymore?
It's a simplified version of what we'll be getting eventually with a more physicalized system, but essentially what it means is that now...
Okay, so that sounds like no Maelstrom in 4.0, and we're going to have the simplified version that we currently have in the engineering playthrough. So we have an or so moment with Maelstrom. We have an or so moment.
Now, certain types of weapons can penetrate through the hull of a ship. This is a
Certain
function
types
of the
of
weapon
weapons.
itself, its penetration values, and also of the armor of the ship, which can be depleted over time.
So if you use ballistics, you have a higher penetration, which allows you to cut through the armor more deeply and touch the components inside the ship directly. As opposed to this, you also have energy weapons, which will be more effective at melting down the armor.
Okay. Armor, like we have seen a few times now, armor is a component. It's a component.
The goal here is that you first need to bring down the armor health value to get to the fullest potential of your penetrating weapons. Then you can penetrate the ship and actually damage the components that sit inside the ship and not on the outside of the hull.
Obviously, there's
I'm loving this. I am not confident in how it will be implemented on the ships with what we have currently with our flight combat and all these problems that we'll see. But this is how I'm going to approach CitizenCon right here. Do they have the right mindset on like what we need for this game to be fun? When I watch this, my answer is absolutely yes. How will the implementation be? I think we know. I think we know at this point, right? It's not going to be perfect. It sounds perfect when you say things. When we actually play them, there's going to be problems with it. There's going to be feedback needed. And for whatever reason, they're going to need 35 years to fix it, right? Like with Master Mode stuff. Like that has been my pain point for Master Modes. Master Modes came in, you can kind of see their intention. You're like, all right, it has some good, it has some bad. They say they're gonna, deal with some of the bad stuff, and then like not much has happened. I don't hate Master Modes. I hate that they haven't continued on it. So this is probably gonna fall down that same route. So I'm trying to yes, the intention is there. The intention is good. Will it get there eventually? Hopefully, right? But I love that.
To this, larger ballistic weapons may have enough penetration against smaller ships that it will be able to penetrate directly, but it's all of a game of choices, and it's going to depend on your ships and your weapons.
So with damage penetration and misfires happening, that brings us to repair.
As your fight progresses and components take damage in your ship, it becomes the duty of some of
the engineering UI is about 10 billion times better than the old one.
your crew members to first investigate what are the issues caused by battle damage,
And we only saw it for 10
and
seconds.
go there to physically replace the parts in your ship.
So you have your multi-tool, so you have the salvage and repair, and the repair part of it also affects now ship components, precisely like what you see in the Arena Commander mode.
Okay.
You will be able to repair items that were fully destroyed. You will not be able to repair the item to its fullest, so you
That's what I was looking for.
cannot repair an item that got fully destroyed to 100% health again. So to repair your ship components to the fullest, you actually have to bring them to the shop again. And
Torsten, if I could put you on the spot, just please, if you can't answer, let me know you can't. Don't say nothing if you're here. When we repair multiple times, does the maximum that we can repair up to degrade? So right now, how it currently functions is, if you have a component fail, you can regrade it, get it up to 90, but it stays at 90. It never goes below 90. Working on it, no guarantee for initial release. Again, the intention's there. That's all that matters. All right, cool. That's a yes, but with a soon attached to it. But it's a yes. Okay.
or if you did think ahead and brought spare items with you, you can simply exchange them to pristine new ones. But
that's the thing that I was pointing out. Not pointed at Torsten or any of the devs that work on this. It's kind of pointed at the whole project as a whole, and I think problems with it. The biggest ships that theoretically are the ones that would be like storing components, moving them, trading in them. They're the ones that can't replace their components. Those are the ones that you can't do that with. And it's so disappointing. When they said that, I was so sad, but the amount of work that would have to go to reworking all the doors, all the places that you move around, CIG is just like, we're not doing it, you know? So it sucks, but what could they do? They would have to redo every single ship to make that work. So, you know what I'd like to see? You know how games do, like, expansions after they release? I would like that to just be part of an expansion one day, is we went through every ship that we have, and every large ship and made it so there's like a component door that I can pull from the outside and open things up, whatever. Something stupid, it doesn't matter, that I'm able to do that. But I don't think that's something I need on release,
With the caveat, it only works, just as a reminder, for size 1 and size 2 components. Size 3 and above cannot be exchanged using the tractor beam detach and attach mode. So now that we looked at what your responsibilities are in the physics,
it's sad because he has to remind us of that, but I don't think that's the choice. Like, he didn't have a choice in that, right? Like, that's the vibe it gets. I mean, he's here, I'm not
running
putting him on
around
the
in
spot.
your ship.
There's nothing
Let's
you can do
take a
about
look
that.
at what you
It just
do
is-
on the
it is
visual
what it is.
part, which is power management and analysis of your ship on the engineering screen.
All right, and this is the stuff that we saw that said 324.2. How do we get this without that?
So the first thing that you will see is the 3D view of your ship that
Yeah, that looks a lot
highlights
better.
the location of all the ship components and how they are actually connected, where the relay positions are, what's the status of the relays are. You will see the holograms of each component.
As you can see, they have different colors. What they are representing is the overall state of the item. So an item that is very damaged, or it's on fire, or is not getting enough power will be in a critical state. Items that are less damaged, are receiving only partial resources, or are going through a misfire, may have moderate colors. And items that are otherwise fine will have the functional or blue colors.
Okay. Like it?
The biggest change that happened to the engineering UI screen is basically the power management part of it. We moved away completely from slider control for every individual item. There is indicator now for fuel. This is not relevant for the initial release, but it will be relevant for the future. Next to it, you see the power plant.
Which one's the fuel? This one? That's kind of exciting. Oh, right here, bottom right. Gotcha. Okay.
This is not relevant for the initial release, but it will be relevant for the future. Next to it, you see the power plant. The power plant segments gives you an idea of how many power segments you can distribute to the ship items.
And on the right of each of the power bars, you can generally see the temperature bar. If it goes into overheating, the item will stop both consuming or producing, and it will be completely inoperable until it cools down again. So that means that assigning power to your coolers in advance is probably a good idea if you're...
I know I talk about Eve all the time, but Eve overheating mechanics, the risk versus reward of overheating your components and overcharging them.
going into a fight.
All the items
Just
on your ship
saying.
generate heat, so this is where you can see the amount of heat that each item has accumulated, and you can see the amount of coolant that you are producing and whether or not you are also running a deficit. So what you want to do is put as much power as you can into the coolers until your items do not overheat, but do not assign more resources than necessary because you are running a limited pool of resources.
Okay.
The same applies to the life support generators. So you have to make sure that you produce enough life support resource that the demand is fulfilled in your ship. If your demand isn't fulfilled, it will cause some failures.
There's also a notifications panel. Here the main warnings about the state of the ship will be displayed. If an item is damaged, doesn't get enough power, or is misfiring, it will create a warning.
But if you're getting ready to go to battle, it's suit up, life support's going off.
You will be able to see it as a notification. Take a look at it, go to the item, or just remove it.
So you have an option that allows you to basically log the controls so that you or the pilot, which has access to the MFD, which shares some of the power management functionality, do not conflict with your controls. So by locking this, you are able to override the MFD settings to only have it being authoritative from the engineering station.
You are able to take the power assignment you have at a given time and save it locally on your
That allows you to
I'm listening
or
to
is
that
misfiring.
again.
It will create a warning. You will be able to see it as a notification. Take a look at it, go to the item, or just remove it.
So you have an option that allows you to basically log the controls so that you or the pilot, which has access to the MFD, which shares some of the power management functionality, do not conflict with your controls. So by locking this, you are able to override the MFD settings to only have it being authoritative from the engineering station.
Yeah. So it's the no. We're not talking about presets. We're talking about locking the controls away from other people. Now, it's not really the locking that we need yet. Like hey, this individual cannot use it, but
You are able to take the
And then
power
presets
assignment
are
you
great,
have at a
too.
given time and save it locally on your computer, meaning that when you fly again with this ship, or even if it's not your ship but somebody else's ship, you can quickly apply your presets. This is very useful in the
Yeah.
middle of combat.
this is my combat preset. This is my whatever preset. Torsten steps on. I missed it. Okay. Scroll up. Find the orange name. Scroll up. I'm still missing it. Where? There it is. There's some additional fun tactics to discover for entering the battle in regards to coolant and heat, but it's for you to discover. Okay.
And you can quickly switch to a combat preset where you will give, for example, more power to shields, weapons, and thrusters. Or at the same time, you may want to have some nap mode preset where you reduce the power to everything
Yep.
and just put it on the bare minimum so there's no degradation or misfires related to power use.
Again, this is give us the tools and we'll figure it out. I
So
love
you
it.
can set a preset on your ship and then jump on somebody else's ship and load it up?
Indeed, your presets are stored
Oh,
locally,
wow.
so as long as you have access to the screen and you're using the same ship, you can apply a preset. Obviously, if the components have changed or the ship has a different loadout, the preset might not apply perfectly and you might need to adjust it, but it gives you a quick baseline on how your power is assigned.
That's kind of cool.
We hope that with these changes, players will have more varied opportunities to experience the game. We'll encounter more situations where it feels relevant and enjoyable to have multi-crew gameplay in the ships, so that you do not think it's just about filling in the battle positions, like the turrets and the pilot seats, but it's more involved gameplay to actually manage your ships and try to fix the ongoing situations that occur within them. And we also hope that this makes larger vehicles
I just don't want to be claiming my ship all the time. Right? Like, this is a lot of stuff going on, but I hope the end result is like I just don't claim my ship nearly as much,
which have more interior space, both more troublesome but also more enjoyable to play with.
We are still working hard to get it done.
Oh my God,
all of
the
you.
fire.
There are ships that already have the functionality. There are still ships that we are working on. But overall, we are super excited to finally get it into the PU. So the Arena Command Experimental Mode was already fun to observe what you can do with the entire system. And now with having the feedback from that, adjusting the gameplay a little from the feedback that we received from you, I am really looking forward to see what
So
you
am I.
all will be doing with it.
I don't think I've ever had more fun playing Star Citizen than that moment. I don't think I've ever had more fun than that. Wait, Myers rating and people are saying Croncy raid. I'm confused. Did I miss the Croncy raid?
So what
Thank
did we
you,
learn
Meyer.
this week? Well, we learned that there's a sweet
Croncy?
new interface for dedicated engineering terminals aboard spacecraft. That the first implementation of armor and damage penetration means that the ways that you kill and keep your spaceships alive will fundamentally change. And that when this arrives in the PU, life aboard spaceships will never be the same again. Now, that's it for this season of Inside Star Citizen.
Oh,
While
shit.
everybody here turns their focus towards the upcoming CitizenCon, where we'll be showcasing the future of Star Citizen beyond Alpha 4.0. Yes, it's a show you're not going to want to miss. So from the
Well, here's the problem with that, guys. There's a bit of a problem with that. Is you kind of have to deliver 4.0 first before we're supposed to start looking beyond it. So
the small team that makes every ISC, thank you so much for letting us stretch our proverbial wings this year.
and to anybody who thought that 4.0 was not intended to release before CitizenCon, that should tell you your answer. Obviously,
Thank you for
their
continuing
intention
to
was.
let us share the people and process of game development with you, and we'll see you all back here after the big show. Wow, I can't believe we got to.
There's a lot at the end, so. Is this all the cuts? I think it is. ISC will probably be off until late October, early November. And even if they deliver an one before that, it'll be like the behind the scenes of CitizenCon or whatever. Okay. Well, I'm excited. SEL's done as well. There's not going to be any video content from these guys for like a month. That's totally normal. They do this all the time. Like Jared and team is like 4 guys or something, right? And they have to manage the whole CitizenCon, and the entire game's funding is hinged on this and all that stuff. So it's totally understandable that they would take a break. Apparently, there's going to be a tech preview test today. That is unfortunate for me. I don't know how much I'm going to be able to participate in it. I will do what I can, though, okay? But that was ISC for 4.0 that's not coming out. And that's kind of how I feel about it, is as good as everything sounds and as cool as SitCon sounds, like going beyond 4.0, you got to deliver on what you're going past first. It's always they're way too ahead of themselves, I feel like. So if the test is good, I might feel different, right? Maybe the test will be really solid.